This is Hammond.
And Jessica.
And you're listening to the Friendly Atheist Podcast. Please go to patreon.com/Friendly Atheist Podcast. Hello.
Hi, how are
rainy.
you?
It's cold.
It's
really
not
spring.
shitty. I mean, it is April showers.
It's also Muller Day, so that's my morning.
Yeah, so it's Thursday, and Hemant promised me, as I tweeted today, Hemant promised me that he would read the entire Mueller report and then bring a really nice summation, citations.
Yes.
Really. So let's take into it, Hemant.
It was good. I got nothing. I skimmed it just like everyone else did, and whatever. Not my wheelhouse. I don't care.
Yeah.
But
hey, remember when you said the Patreon thing that I didn't finish all the words you were supposed to say?
There was more?
Yeah. So go to patreon.com/Friendly Atheist Podcast if you'd like to donate to this show. Help keep us going. You can
feed Dottie.
Feed Dottie. Where is she?
I don't know.
Hemant.
Yo.
She went to the vet today for her annual checkup, and she's 3 pounds overweight, and I was very embarrassed. And I also, you know how she's afraid of her own farts?
Okay.
I was like, can you just make sure she's not, like, in pain or, like, if this isn't a symptom? And she called me. She's like, I think she just startles easily, which is code for my dog is so dumb she does not know what a fart is. It's so
glad to hear Dottie is dumb.
Yeah, no, she definitely. I mean, like, I love her more than I love anything.
Validates everything I've thought for a very long time.
You're an asshole. You can't call my dog dumb. Only I can. She starts herself awake from dead sleeps by farting. It's extremely funny.
Congrats.
I want to start with some good news, actually, before we dive in. I do. So last year, 2018, was the first time my city, Aurora, had a Pride Parade.
Yes.
And so they were all ready to go with Pride 2019. Have you heard about any of this?
I think you told me a little bit about this.
Oh, I did. Okay, so I was at, ironically, I was at a baby shower for a lesbian couple on Saturday, and they're like, "Did you hear Aurora Pride was canceled?" And I was like, "What?" So apparently, Aurora decided I haven't dug into it too much, but they increased how much they were going to charge, I think across the board for like anybody who wanted to hold a parade or whatever there, to the point where they were $17,000 short of what their goal was. So they're like, sorry, we have to cancel it. Like, we just can't, like, there's no way we can make this deficit up. There's such an outcry that they started a GoFundMe campaign and raised that $17,000 within 24 hours. They had 2 weeks to do it. So it's back on. I'm super stoked about it. There's a 5K. I might go running.
What?
Yeah. I have athletic ability. I'm going to the gym later. I'm wearing my workout clothes.
Nice.
So yeah, I just want to start us off on like a non-shitty note because I bet this week is going to be shitty as per usual.
It's really the theme of this show. Let's start with Notre Dame. Notre Dame,
you heathen.
Yes. So, okay, I don't have anything to add because everyone's heard a million things about it. I will say most of the groups I belong in, which is to say I don't read any of them, but no one said anything particularly nasty. It was one of those, oh God, some people are going to say some really horrible things, aren't they? Like, yay, a church is dying.
Yeah.
I didn't see much of that in my in my neck of the woods, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure some trolls everywhere.
Of course,
were saying things like that.
I saw some like little bits of feedback of like, after what the Catholic Church did to me or society or whatever, like this feels really cathartic. But it didn't. I don't think anybody.
Notre Dame isn't the center of your problems,
right?
As much as the institution as a whole,
right? I mean, obviously with everybody else was watching.
I'll say it right, I swear.
Was watching the footage, and I will now I have a different point. Like I have different thoughts on it than I did the day of because man, watching the fire, like the footage of the fire was alarming looking, and it was very dramatic looking, and also and I think they released the cause today. I think it was just like they were doing construction and like something caught on fire.
Yeah.
And I completely lost the train of thought. But to lose something... Oh, I know. It's an 800-year-old building, right?
Right.
And the fact that in 2019, of all times, like, we lose something that old and that important to society and that...
2019 being on fire seems like an appropriate metaphor for everything. But if you've ever been to Europe and you've ever traveled anywhere in Europe, the one thing you do when you go to visit these countries is you go to see the churches because that's where all the history's at.
That's all the history and architecture.
And so if you care about history and like you're saying, the art, the architecture, you go to the churches. It's like saying, oh yeah, if you want to see Renaissance paintings or whatever, yeah, you're going to see religious themes for a bunch of reasons. That's where the funding was, et cetera. But it's like, yeah, Notre Dame is more than just some church.
Right.
So, like, the fact that we almost lost it isn't, oh, we lost some random church.
No.
People go to visit it for more, so much more than that. So it's like,
I mean, I've been there. It's beautiful. Like, I'm sure if you've been on Facebook or Twitter, you've seen a gajillion pictures of people like, when I went there in 12th grade. Like, and it's true. It's touched a lot of people's lives. And it's important for Paris's economy. It's like 10 million visitors a year, something wild like that. Like,
yeah, if you go there, that's one of the things you got to do.
Here is my like kind of frustration with what's going on. So within 24 hours, people pledged in. So let's just talk specifically. So there's two billionaires specifically, the founders of the French companies, Louis Vuitton and Kering. They pledged a combined $300 million euros toward the rebuilding effort. And that's great. I think Notre Dame is like everything we've said, is a cultural touch point. It's important in human history. It's important in European history. But I think it is also a sign that that they have this money fucking ready to go, and this is the first thing that happened, that they're like, oh, I should put money toward this. It's a very kind of eat the rich kind of attitude that I have, like, oh, you just had 300 million euro and like this is like the genocide. This is the
thing you're spending money on.
Like
it's not a bad thing.
Right.
But also you could spend that sort of money if it's pocket change to you, to relatively speaking.
Right.
There's so many other things you could also spend money on that you're not.
And I am so hesitant to criticize how people donate their money because it's absolutely your business and it's not mine. Yeah. I just think it's kind of wild how much money they raise so quickly when the Catholic Church is worth, what, $30 billion or something? What? Like, the Vatican is made of gold. Like, fucking steal a chair and use that to pay for some shit.
And I don't know the answer to this, but, like, if it's a publicly owned property, not the Catholic Church owned, and there's probably insurance on a building.
And there's insurance.
So, like, there were ways to raise money. And, by the way, when I first posted about Notre Dame on my site, it's like, well, here's a link where people could give, because that's what it seemed like. I didn't know about the billionaires donating.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, okay, they raise money pretty quickly. Oh, by the way, look, these other religious, like, there's 3 churches in, Louisiana right now that burned?
Not just that burned, that...
Burned down.
Not even that, but it was an arson. It was historically black churches burned by a white male arson, and it's gotten no coverage and actually this has been a trick, because it's been like, oh, you're donating to this church, maybe you should donate to like these churches that actually really need your money.
Or at least they definitely didn't raise that much that quickly or anything even in that
But I
ballpark.
think because of the kind of the spotlight those Louisiana churches got as a result, because it was like a very reflexive thing for people to be like, actually, why don't we like give money to people who need it?
They steered it in the right direction.
Right. And so I think they raised a fair amount of money, which is good news.
I actually... go for it.
However, here's the thing that made my head want to explode, is that Sarah Huckabee Sanders said in a statement that the U.S. will offer assistance in rehabilitation of this irreplaceable symbol of Western civilization. What the actual fuck? Are you kidding me with this? Are you fucking kidding me with this? This is America first. This is white people first. This is white culture first. This is absolutely...
They have money to send. And again, not a bad thing in a normal situation. But in this administration to say like, yeah, we will donate, we will give... Like, meanwhile, Puerto Rico's
I kept seeing the reaction of like
still struggling,
stares in Puerto Rico. Like it's just it's It's fucking disgusting. And it is so evident of this sort of white nationalist look of like, they don't care about the United States. They don't care about the country.
The brown people in the United States.
They care about white people.
In the United States, right.
They're fine with shit happening. They basically disowned Puerto Rico. Like, I don't know her. Like, what are you talking? Hurricanes. Sounds like she did something to her. Like, that was a disgrace. Flint still doesn't have clean water, and they're like, oh, also, do you guys really need these bottles of water? Because we're tired of
that's what they need.
Sending water to Flint, ?
I mean, it's the latest example of this administration doing something insane.
It's wild. It's wild and disgusting, and
the weird thing is, I don't think it would be weird if any other administration did exactly what they did. It's that they did this when they've done so many other horrible things in life. Like, it's only bad in context.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's not bad on its own.
I mean, I think if we had seen a good faith effort on any administration to be like, we're trying to address our own, but like that's what Trump is. That's like the thing they're constantly going on about is like, we don't have money for X. We don't have money for national health care. We don't have money to...
We're full, no immigrants.
We're full, no immigrants. We can't afford to take refugees on. But you know that's not how budgets work.
But you know, if like Norway said, hey, we need to send some of our people somewhere, they'd be like, come on in.
They're the good flavored immigrants. Right. The vanilla flavored immigrant. Like it's so dastardly on its face. And I think the whole time I was feeling kind of ucky about how much money was like thrown around by billionaires. But I think that's just me reflexively like not liking rich people. Like, oh, you got like 30 million euro just like hanging out like liquid, just
300.
Ready to get 300. What did I say?
30.
That's so much more than what I said. And it's just liquid. And you're like, yeah, I can part with this without like it's. I think it is my like inner socialist just like rearing its ugly head. I think I need to let her come out and play. Like it's I don't know. Hang the rich. What?
Eat the rich. Yes.
Eat the rich.
I read something surprisingly awesome on Reddit, and it was unsigned, and it was on the Reddit atheism page. But this was posted relatively quickly after the fire happened. I'm just reading an excerpt here. We lament the loss, but choose to be hopeful for the future, to trust that the people of France, with their usual fortitude and determination, will rebuild and restore. Mm-hmm. We hope that the brave men and women who risked their lives fighting to contain this fire will come through unscathed, and the fire will be under control soon. This subreddit and people the world over value the contributions the people of France have made to our shared global culture. We trust that the Notre Dame will be restored to its former glory in time. It's like, yeah, nice,
I think that covers it. And from my understanding, nobody died.
Yeah, one injury, I believe.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't even hear about
firefighter.
that. But like the stained glass windows were saved. And I think the stuff that burned down is not 12th century or whenever it was built. It's a later edition. Also, there was an excellent tweet. What's his name? He's the co-host of Science Enthusiast.
Yeah, Dan.
Dan Broadbent.
Yeah.
Had a tweet that. And those pictures of the inside of Notre Dame are dramatic and like
everything
haunting.
Looks burned down.
And then there's one picture of like everything in like is burnt and smoky and all this. And there's like a sunbeam and there's a big gold cross that survived. And somebody said something about like, how can you look at this and not believe in God? And then tweeted like the wood burns at a lower rate than gold. Like I don't know why would you? It's so wild.
And
especially
science,
like
it's not a miracle.
And also a church burnt down. What the fuck are you on about?
I felt the same way when people said in the pictures of the flames, you could see Jesus. Which they always do in any natural disaster, but it's like you see the entire church burning, right? Like this is not a time for Jesus to make an appearance in the outlines of the flames.
Well, and especially because it wasn't arson, it wasn't malicious, it wasn't terrorism. It was, from my understanding, it was an accident.
Which, if you're religious and you believe this stuff, it's like Jesus caused that fire.
But so like, I
let's
guess
give him the blame for that. Then
I could see those having more weight of like the cross survived, or like I saw Jesus in the smoke. But like, it's not like somebody came in and blew up the place. Like something caught on fire and like. That's what wood does. Like it's just it's an amazing
go back
way
toast. That's safer for everybody.
It's just an amazing way to divide your brain. I remember after I was in high school during 9/11, and like 2001, like I was so credulous. Like I believed anything that was in front of me. And somebody showed me a picture of like, look at, you can see Satan in the smoke. And I was like, what? Like,
Yes.
have some credulity, you guys. What is going on?
Let's move to this because this happened today, and here's some good news. Gallup released a poll about church membership.
Okay.
And they've been covering this for a long time. The question is basically, do you happen to be a member of a church, synagogue, or mosque? It's one question in a broader survey that they do, but they singled out this question because they've asked this for a long time. And the 2018 results, because this is where they're getting it from, it's the newest result, is the lowest church membership ever.
Wow.
It's at 50%. That's down from a high of 76% in like the 1940s. It's down from 70% 20 years ago.
Wow.
Like all the drop has happened recently. It was always going a little lower, and now the hockey stick part is happening. And it's so we're halfway there is what I'm getting at. So it's at 50% now. And the reasons for this are interesting because part of it is the fact that more Americans than ever before are not religious. They're not part of any organized religion. They're the nuns, religiously unaffiliated. But also, Gallup said, the people who are religious aren't part of a church as much as they used to be. Because you realize that, like...
spiritualism is...
Yes, that matters more to them than anything. Or, I'm a follower of Jesus, but also I don't want to be part of, like, the Southern Baptist because for a lot of reasons. Or I don't want to be a Catholic church because of all the shit they do.
Or just, I don't want to go to church every week.
Or I don't want to go to church.
It's inconvenient. I don't want to.
Yeah, and I would also argue that, like, when you see what our government is doing in close ties with conservative Christianity. Why would you want to belong if you're an anti-Trump type? Why would you want to belong to a evangelical, like white evangelical megachurch when those things go hand in hand at this point? So I don't think the hockey stick is done yet. It's going to keep dipping. It's going to keep falling. And by the way, the other thing Gallup said that I thought was interesting, again, not news, but it is nice to have numbers to go with it, is when you talk about older people, 89% of them say they have a religion. When you look at millennials born after 1980, down to 68% who say they have a religion. Like that number is lower. So when you talk about who's going to church, the people who are not going to church are younger people. So like that trend is not going away.
Yeah, and I think what's going to be more interesting to see, because I feel like younger people tend to lean left as opposed to older people tend to be less religious than... But I feel like what's happening is millennials, like, first of all, people still use, not that you just did it, but like people still use millennials as code for teenagers, which like I'm a millennial, I'm in my mid-30s. Like that's not how it works anymore. But their
definition is born 1980 or after.
Or after?
Yeah. Well, to 2000 because that's how old you have to be to take the survey.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Like 1980 to 2000 is millennials for them.
So yeah, I guess 19 is still pretty young. But all I have to say is politically, we have seen that millennials are not skewing more conservative as
they get older.
As Gen Xers
we've grown
did,
up
as
at
baby
a time
boomers.
when we see, like, I think I heard someone say this about AOC, but it's like she grew up at a time when all the Republicans have like always been religious and like always corrupt. It's always we grew up with George W. Bush and this guy, whereas older people who might still say I'm conservative, I'm Republican. It's like, yeah, well, Reagan had his problems, but like he wasn't as bad as these people. It's like, yeah, there's a difference between who you grew up with. I know you're rolling your eyes a little bit. I know, like he wasn't great, but the point is, like, they grew up at a time when you could be Republican and it wasn't evil.
Yeah.
And now it's like, the fuck is wrong with you? Because I know what that stands for now. So, yeah, if you're millennial, you're like, you want me to be a white evangelical? You want me to be a Southern Baptist?
You're
you
like,
want me
I don't
to be
align
a Catholic?
with you.
Yeah.
You don't represent what I believe in.
And think about what that means for people who are part of an organized religion, especially those. It means you're anti-LGBTQ rights, anti-reproductive freedom, scientific data, sex education, climate change, everything. Like, we know what you stand for when you're part of those churches, and it means you're anti-gay, anti-woman, anti-whatever you want to put there. You are not for the poor as much as you claim you are. So I think the one thing that would change this graph, the hockey stick graph. The one thing that would get people going back to church is if like there really was a revolution for like the religious left and like you could convince people, no, if you belong to church, you are part of a movement that is here to help the poor and help strangers and all the stuff they claim Jesus did.
Right.
If that actually got traction, maybe people would go back to church because there's a nice built-in institution to facilitate those goals. But that's not what they do right. Like that's not what Christianity is known for right now.
I mean, I would say that there are, not as a whole, but there are definitely like pockets of Christianity that are trying to do that, are especially when it comes to like LGBTQ rights, that, you know, even around here, like gay people welcome. Like Chicago, if you walk like by any church, like half of them have a rainbow flag. Just be like, all are welcome. And even that's not going to do it, I think, until the people who represent Christianity, not just like Christian churches, but the people who say they represent Christianity in our government or in our life.
Right. On television, in the news. I mean, they always, obviously, they always pick the loudest, most extremes on any end to be the representatives, quote unquote.
Right.
But you're right. Like, until we start hearing more from those people who actually say, my faith inspires me to do the following things that are actually decent.
You know what? I'm disagreeing with myself. I'm disagreeing with myself because we had Obama who did that. Pete Buttigieg is Christian and gay, and obviously for gay rights. Cory Booker even is extremely religious and still liberal. Like,
I don't think that's I don't think that's weird, and I don't think that should give you pause. I think those are one-offs. And that's not a movement. That's one person who happens to embody like really good values and they attribute that to their faith. And that's all well and fine. We can have different disagreements about that. But it's like there's a difference between, you know, individuals who do that sort of thing, which is not unusual, and I welcome it, versus like this broad movement, like the Project Blitz with the Christian bills. That is a movement of conservatives. The Republican Party is a giant group of people who think this horrible way. Obama's great when it comes to religion and how his values are and all that sort of stuff. Buttigieg, same way. Booker, same way. But those are one dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, until that movement grows, I'm not joining Obama's church. Right? Like,
yeah, that's fair.
So I don't think that's going to change unless that entire movement grows. Right now, if you want to do good things in the name of your faith, you're not doing it as part of a church. You're probably doing it as part of a separate movement or a different organization that is fighting for, you know, poverty issues and things like that. But you're not doing it like as a member of whatever my mega church.
Yeah. What do you think is more likely to happen? That, I mean, obviously religious numbers are not going to bottom out, right? Like, we're not going to see zero in our lifetime, nor do I think it's necessarily like a bad thing that's not going to happen. Do you think it's more likely that we're going to continue to see that precipitous fall off
of organized
religion, or that Christianity, which I guess besides Catholicism, it's hard for Christianity to do something en masse because there's no
pope,
Christian pope.
Right.
Do you think?
I think it's going to keep dropping.
You think it's going to be more likely than churches are going to start to see numbers dwindling more and more and think like, fuck, we have to.
Yeah, they're not going to change. They're going to double down because doubling down means you get to keep the diehards, and that matters more to them. So I don't think they're going to.
The diehards are in their 70s and 80s and 90s?
Yeah, no, it's not going to change because that's the money you want. Like, those are the people keeping the church going. It's not the 20-year-old liberal who doesn't have a job and doesn't have money to give you. They're not going to change for that guy.
Yeah.
They will keep doing what they do because they can keep going for another couple of decades at least with a core group of diehards who are dogmatically to the right. So it's not going to change. What's going to happen is the movement will shift to the left, I think, but I don't think it's going to happen within religion. There are better ways to organize and move people than through a church.
That's fair.
And that's one of the big changes now. It's like, if I want friends, if I want to gather over a set of values that mean something to me, I don't need to go to church. There are other options for me, whether it's politics or something else.
That's actually a really good point because church, even just in our generation growing up, church was very much a focal point of the community and where people went for that. And now we have the internet where, like, I have some of my closest friends right now. I literally met on the internet, like a real fucking creep.
Church
but like,
is not the only game in town. And so you're going to find ways to like share your values. Again, church has an awesome infrastructure for that sort of thing. But other places will catch up, and those are going to meet you where you want to go. So, like, why would I want to join the Catholic Church with all its baggage when all the stuff they claim to do really well, you could find in other places?
Okay, I just had a weird thought, re modern day churches. So speaking of like the internet as a sort of parallel to what the church was a generation ago, I'm thinking of My Favorite Murder, which is a podcast I listen to. It has a huge listenership. And online it's like the My Favorite Murder group, and then there's the Chicago group, and then the Chicagoland group, and then the Western Suburbs groups. And like I have gotten together with these
plotting murders.
All people plotting murders. That's what we do. It takes a lot of manpower.
Yes.
Woman power. It's all women. But like these people get together, and it's
over one particular value thing that you all share.
That we all share.
You all share.
And it has turned into this like almost weird church equivalent, because like I get together with my friends once a month, and we all like take turns hosting and watch the thing together.
Right. Some people have Jesus. You have dead bodies.
Yes.
Same thing.
But like like these groups will raise a bunch of money for charity. Like they've become this like organizational structure. Like it's weird how those sorts of things parallel. Like all it takes is something relatively influential that people naturally organize themselves.
Right.
And I think people want to do good. So if I'm going to go bowling and raise money for End the Backlog, like, that's great.
This may be a little tangential, but I always thought, like, as a atheist activist, like, my real goal in terms of what I do, lofty goal, is, I want to convince people to think critically and think rationally, right? And I always thought religion was the head of that monster. That's why that's the thing that drew me so much, like convincing people that atheism made sense, right?
Yeah.
And now I realize, wait, no, religion, maybe it was, but it's not anymore. When it comes to irrational thinking, religion isn't really the biggest problem that I see in my life anyway. It's political.
Yeah.
Like that, like Trumpism, is way more harmful and influential in a bad way than like someone's Christianity is right now. Because like you could swing that both ways. Trumpism only goes like one direction. Like, and you can't really spin that to say he's helping the poor.
Actually, that's a really good point.
And this is the thing: like, religion used to be the focal point of everything I did, and now it's like I don't care if religion, like, if a church is doing something fine or bad, like, we'll see how bad it is,
right?
But like everything I do when it comes to irrational thinking and anti-science and it all goes through politics. And so that, to me, is a bigger focal point for my activism, because that's what I care about. And it's still part of I want you to think rationally and evidence-based and everything. Right. But it turns out, like, religious leaders are not the worst people using that information now.
It's
politicians. And so that's where I, like, want to destroy the head of the monster.
That's actually really well put, because I feel like a common criticism that we get is how much we talk about politics. And to me, for a long time now, it's been more interesting to talk about politics because that's consequential. Whereas, the guy who spouts some garbage in his like little church in the South, like, I want to talk about it because I want to make sure we see that this kind of rhetoric is still going on. This anti-woman or anti-queer rhetoric is still happening. But like, that's small ripples in a pond. Where we're looking at the waves is what's happening in Washington, happening with our lawmakers. And the fact that they harness either religiosity or lack of critical thinking or lack of science belief, quote unquote, like that is, I completely agree, is more important and more interesting.
I'm saying this as a straight cis guy, but like, who does more damage to the LGBT community? I think at one point I would have said it was religious leaders because of all the misinformation they spread and all the anti-gay rhetoric. And now I would say, no, it's the Republican Party that does more damage to LGBTQ people because of the policies they're trying to pass. And I realize that overlap is really large.
Yeah, I mean, the Venn diagram is almost a circle.
Right. But if you're trying to stop it, you're not going to stop the religious people, but also people kind of know that they're jackasses about this stuff. Like, the Catholic Church isn't going to change on the gay marriage thing. but you could stop those politicians. Like, you could actually get shit done if you could vote them out.
Yeah.
So that's a more, like, reasonable place to focus your activism.
Yeah, and it's more actionable.
Yeah.
It's more like I cannot...
The Pope's not going to change his mind no
Right.
matter what you say, but that dude can be voted out.
Right.
Another dude.
And even if I can't change his mind, I can fire him.
Right.
Wow.
So anyway.
That was a tangent we don't go on very often.
I'm not even changing topics too much, but let's talk about the reactions this week to Pete Buttigieg, because there's some crazy people saying crazy things. My favorite one came from this radio host who actually, he's not a nobody, I would argue, because he ran for, I believe, lieutenant governor in Virginia. He lost badly. So now he's just a radio host and failed politician, but he's not a nobody. So E.W. Jackson, he said on his radio show this week...
E.W. Jackson, I'm sorry, E.W. Jackson is definitely a Civil War general. That is not a name of a man who lives in 2019.
He said...
Does he go by E.W.?
He goes by E.W., Bishop E.W.
And
he said,
him.
if Pete Buttigieg becomes president, the nation will be destroyed because he's going to put Christians in prison and he's going to turn America into a homocracy. I am afraid to tell you how much time I spent trying to figure out what, because he didn't define the word.
No, he didn't.
And I'm so curious what he thinks that means. What
did he
would that
say
mean?
homocracy?
Would that be a government run by gay people? I don't think that would be the worst thing.
I mean, I think it's making people take the gay pill.
Is he going to turn everybody gay?
Yeah.
Is that what President Pete would do? What else could it mean? Like,
that is a wild statement.
yeah, here's what he said. He was really disturbed because Buttigieg kissed his husband at a campaign rally.
Oh, that got a lot of heat.
Jackson said, a normal man is disgusted by the idea of two men kissing each other on the mouth. A normal man is disgusted by that. Blah, 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 blah. This is how normal people feel. They're basically forced to suppress those feelings because of the gay mafia. He said that. And he went on. He said, if Buttigieg becomes president, quote, he will use the power of the government to shut down Christian broadcasters and businesses because LGBTQ activists want nothing more than to put Christians in jail and turn America into a homocracy. Mind you, Buttigieg is a Christian.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to put Christians in jail.
Do you think this is one of those things of...
What's a homocracy?
Listen, I want to live there. I want to be a part of it.
What's the flag?
Please adopt me. We know what the flag is. Come on. Is it one of those things of they are assuming that the opposition wants to do to them what they want to do to the opposition? Like, I think he wants to put gay people in jail.
Yeah,
and he's
it's
like,
very much projection.
Yeah, thank you. Projection would be a more concise way to say it.
Like, they're always worried about the stuff they actively say they want to do, people are going to do to them. You're right.
I mean, it's the same thing. Have you ever heard the thing about, like, the reason straight men are afraid around gay men is they're afraid they're going to be treated the way they treat women? Which is...
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Brian Fisher, who does a radio show for the American Family Association and is always good for a crazy person soundbite, also said Buttigieg would be the, quote, biggest threat to religious liberty in history. But that's not...
In
history, yes. The best part about the quotation, though, do not let his boyish good looks and charm deceive you. He threatens everything that you and I cherish. Now that's some projection right there. Like, he really is.
Okay. Oh, golly.
Yeah. Brian Fisher thinks we're all taken in by his charm and handsomeness, and therefore we're just going to let him trample all over our religious liberties because that's what he thinks.
That's incredible. I've never been happier. I will say, Pod Save America has been doing like long form interviews with each of the candidates. Yes. A lot of times I'll listen to them as I'm falling asleep. And God, Pete Buttigieg has a very soothing speaking voice. Really I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I also have Buttigieg stories.
What else do you get? I'm sure there are problems with him because there are problems with every politician, but like relatively speaking,
yeah,
still like him. I like Elizabeth Warren too, but I like him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we said this, I think, last week. Like, I'm ride or die for Elizabeth Warren, and I do feel like women are being underrepresented in this, and I feel that I'm being part of it right now.
Yeah.
But fuck, he's so fucking charming and nerdy. I love him.
It's part of the gay agenda. He's getting you. The charm is working.
Did you see that tweet that somebody said, like, Pete Buttigieg seems to me like the sober friend who reads through the entire game manual and then patiently explains the rules back to his drunk friends, and he repeated like, "Oh my god, that's so true." He's a dork, and I love that.
I know. I saw like a picture of him last year before he announced his presidency, but he was kind of known if you're into politics and stuff. And there was some little kid behind for one of the things he was speaking at, and he's just playing with the kid. Like, it's cute and adorable, and you're like, I remember when a president did that.
Yeah, like,
right?
I think the reason people are so obsessed with Pete Buttigieg in this, and this is his moment, right? Like, this isn't going to last forever. Like, but
just last another 18 months.
I know. But I mean, even just among the Democrats, like, he'll, like, not even the shine will come off the apple, but like other people will also be interesting.
Right.
He is just the diametric opposite of Donald Trump. He's like just a sweet,
calm, cool, collected,
a sweet guy,
thoughtful,
intellectually curious, like a nerd, which is the literal opposite. Like, I don't know. He's extraordinarily likable. He's very charming and winning. Still, Warren 2020. Sorry. Like, I wouldn't be, so far there has not been anybody who
Joint
is
ticket,
running.
Boom.
Yeah. There's been nobody who's running thus far who I would be upset to see in the White House,
Yeah,
or
too.
would be like hesitant to cast my vote for.
Right.
So I think that's good.
I'm
not done with my Buttigieg stories.
All right.
Remember our friend Jason, either Repair or Rapert? He posted on Facebook. He posted a picture of
This is a
Pete.
state senator from Arkansas.
Thank you.
Who put up the Ten Commandments monument outside the state capitol.
He is roundly the worst. Like, he is consistently jockeying for
genuinely,
position of the worst.
he started an organization to get Christianity in the government, like to push all these Christian propaganda things through the government.
So he posted a picture of Mayor Pete and his husband kissing.
Yeah.
It said, "Will our pulpits remain silent? Will pastors refuse to rebuke open sin displayed as normal? Sodom and Gomorrah meets modern day America." And then he lists Romans chapter 1, verses 18 through 32. I didn't read it. It wasn't my jam.
It was a long copy-pasted Bible verse thing.
Sure fucking long.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was a really chill thing that he did. And then Everett Piper wrote an op-ed for the Washington Times, which, as I was reading it, I was thinking it was the Washington Post.
Oh, dear God.
It was not the Washington
It is
Post.
not.
I learned that. Like, when I was reading it, I was like, why would they fucking print this?
No, the Washington Times will print anything you send them.
So Everett Piper, I'm sorry, this title is so fucking dramatic. Pete Buttigieg doesn't get to make up his own Christianity. Did you read this piece?
No, but that sounds about right.
So and it's like a really fucking incredible, like, tap dancing around facts and how they work, because she lists a couple times that Pete Buttigieg kind of calls Pence out by name. Like, at some point he says the Mike Pence.
They're both from Indiana, so he keeps getting asked about Mike Pence.
And he's gay, and Mike Pence hates gay people.
Very much not, yeah.
So I think that's the important thing to remember here, is that it's not like when it's punching up when you are a mayor talking about the vice president of the United States.
And a guy who oppresses you.
And secondly, like, he actively oppresses Mayor Pete's community. So she, I mean, just these logical leaps. Mr. Buttigieg's ridicule of the vice president's religious convictions have persisted in spite of the fact that Mr. Pence has done nothing but show grace and respect at every turn.
Yes.
Quote, "I hold Mayor Buttigieg in the highest personal regard," said Mr. Pence, "see him as a dedicated public servant. There is no record of Mr. Pence ever insulting Mr. Buttigieg or returning his mockery with similar derision."
Oh my God. No one's pretending Mike Pence is Donald Trump, but Pence's actions speak for themselves.
Mr. Pence has shown remarkable restraint and nothing but civility and a generous spirit of true tolerance.
Oh my God.
Mr. Buttigieg, has it ever occurred to you that the Mike Pences of the world don't have a problem with who you are? I'm using square quotes when I
They literally have a problem with who he is.
But rather, we disagree with what you do. We believe human identity is much more than the sum total of someone's sexual inclinations. In fact, the Creator, whom you so boldly reference, makes this pretty clear. Your sexual appetites are your business. The thing about obedient, faithful Christians is this, semicolon, should have been a colon, get a copy editor. We consider someone else's private life to be just that, private. Please stop telling us what kind of sex you like. We don't want to know. If you want us to stay out of your bedroom, please shut the door. Stop opening it up and trying to force us to applaud and celebrate. You don't get to make up your own Christianity. You also don't get to make up your own Jesus. And in case you missed it, he is explicitly clear in his definition of marriage. Quote, for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united with his wife, and the two will become one flesh.
Yes, Jesus' wife was a good woman.
No, our quarrel really isn't with your Creator, sir. Our quarrel is with you. Fucking Everett Piper.
That's what he calls
signing
graciousness.
Off.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Is Everett Piper a dude?
I think so. The idea that Buttigieg is like saying, come on into my bedroom. Come watch.
God.
Come applaud me for what I do here.
I read this whole thing thinking Everett Piper was a woman. I thought Everett was a woman's name.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, it's a white dude. Wow, the one time I give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. And again, okay. Pence has actively signed legislation allowing Christians to discriminate against gay people on the basis of religion.
Yep.
No one cares if he has a smile on his face as he does it. No one cares if he speaks politely as he does it. Pence is anti-gay. His party is anti-gay. It doesn't matter. They don't have to act like Trump to be despicable in their actions.
Yeah.
So Buttigieg is right to call him out on it. It is kind of amusing, though, to watch these people get apoplectic about, like, how dare you insult Mike Pence when he's been nothing but nice to you, minus the fact that you're not allowed to get cake.
Correct.
Oh, well.
PhD. They keep calling him Dr. Piper, and I was like, I don't see anywhere where he got
Where did he get it from?
Actually, Michigan State University.
Right.
I don't know what though. Springer Arbor University for his BA, MA from Bowling Green. I mean, he's got credentials.
All right.
I don't know what it's in, though. He's the president of Oklahoma Wesleyan.
You want to talk about sex bots? All right. So... Remember, I swear it's related. Remember a while ago, there was this thing called the Nashville Statement that all these Christian conservative leaders signed that basically said, here is what we think about LGBTQ issues. Trans people don't exist.
Nope.
Check, signing
Fuck
it. Marriage between one man, one woman, et cetera, et cetera. That was a while back, and it's kind of like that hasn't changed. That's still there. They still hold to that, whatever. That same basic group of people that are part of the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission of the Southern Baptist Convention just released another document like that says, here is where we stand on this issue.
I'm dying
and these
to know
are our
where
principles.
Sex robots come in.
And it's all about artificial intelligence. And they're like, this is what we say about artificial intelligence.
Finally, we've all been waiting on pins and needles to hear what these dudes have to say about AI.
Yeah, and they're like, we recognize that AI will allow us to achieve unprecedented possibilities while acknowledging the potential risks. Whatever, this is what everyone says about AI. It could do amazing things.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Minus whatever. Okay, so the whole thing is an attempt to basically say what everyone else has been saying about AI, which is we have to control it. We have to know what we're doing. We have to approach it ethically. Fine, but then they got to turn it all back to Jesus because that's what they're paid to do. And they're just like, people have said AI can help assist with enhanced medical diagnostics and therapeutic inventions, right? And they're like, that's good. We welcome that. But also, then, quote, we deny that death and disease effects of the fall can ultimately be eradicated apart from Jesus Christ. Like, sure, you may get your AI therapeutic benefits, but you need Jesus too. Like, that's what this whole document reads like.
Jesus.
Like, sure, AI can do this, but also Bible. My favorite version of this, though, is when they talked about sex, and they say that basically people said AI can help you with whatever aspects of sex, whether it's like a sex bot for your pleasure or even assisting with couples or whatever.
Oh.
And here's what they said in response. We deny that the pursuit of sexual pleasure is a justification for the development or use of AI, and we condemn the objectification of humans that results from employing AI for sexual purposes. Like, how dare you look into what they can do for sex?
Objectification of humans?
Yeah, I guess if you're creating like a sex doll or whatever you're going to do with it, you're ruining sex for people somehow.
I mean, I guess it's literally objectifying. If you if you made a clone of a person into an object, I guess that's actually what objectifying is.
Wait, they went on. AI should not intrude upon or substitute for the biblical expression of sexuality between a husband and wife.
Yeah, the gays are the ones who are obsessed with sex.
Yeah, so don't make a sex bot that you use to replace your wife, and then you'd better not be a dude sex bot, because that's absolutely... Jesus said specifically, don't make AI gay sex bots. And they just want to make sure everyone knows this.
Famous Sermon on the Mount.
It's like the 9th commandment or something like that.
Jesus didn't give the commandments. I have a question.
Wait, one more thing they said in this statement. Okay. We deny that AI should be designed or used in ways that violate the fundamental principle of human dignity for all people. Which sounds well and good until you realize all of these Southern Baptists have made careers out of violating human dignity for whatever groups they don't like.
Sure.
No, you don't get civil rights the way we do. That's all. Bring on the AI, because I've seen what humans do.
I have an important question.
Yes.
Is a vibrator a robot? Because if so, I have really bad news for these guys. They've lost this fight.
Yeah. And just wait till the AI bots make everything better and more calibrated to what you want or need or something.
It sounds great, by the way.
This is what I do. I come up with the ideas.
Oh my God.
So I love that they had to come out with this giant long statement.
Well, I've been waiting pins and needles for their hot take. Spicy hot take.
So here's a sad story. And I'll tell you, I still have red flags up about this story.
Oh, you think it might be a fake-o?
Maybe. But here's the version of the story that I want to believe is true.
Okay.
2 women, Tiffany and Albry Schaefer, they found out that their 18-month-old daughter, Callie June, has cancer. Oh. Really sad. The girl is going through chemotherapy, surgery, all that stuff. And the couple has been posting pictures, and they're like, look, things are getting better. Look at how happy she is today. That's awesome. So they also set up a GoFundMe page to raise money for... Because America. And, okay, fine. So everything is... it's not good. That's all happening. And they've been doing this for months. And then last week, on their Facebook page that is dedicated to showing her progress, Callie's progress, that she's improving, they posted one of the messages they got through Facebook on that page.
Okay.
And here's what the message said. My prayers for Callie. I was going to donate $7,600 to her fund, but I found out her parents are lesbian. I've chosen to donate to St. Jude due to that fact. Sorry, I'll still pray for her, though, but maybe it's God's way of getting your attention that she needs a mommy and a daddy, not 2 mommies.
Oh, no.
So they got this message. They posted it saying, what the hell?
I assume they redacted the name.
No, they didn't. Really? So I went to go search the name of the person.
I was about to do that.
Way ahead of you on this one. The person has either deleted or taken down their profile, which makes it hard to verify some of this stuff. This is where the red flags go up, because I'm like, that's a lot of money to give to a stranger's GoFundMe. That's a very specific amount to give to a stranger's GoFundMe.
Especially if you obviously do not know the people personally.
And again, who I don't give to every fundraiser that comes my way, but I don't write to them and say, by the way, I'm not giving to you.
Don't. That is I think the amount seems slightly unbelievable, but the fact that she says, I was going to give this to you, but I wasn't, is the most believable part because I like for this podcast, people, I wish I could do this, but I can't. Or like when I was waiting tables, I was going to give you 20%. Okay. Literally this happened one time. I was going to give you 20%, but it was so cold in here that I needed to get hot chocolate. So I'm taking those $2 off your tip. Okay. So I have seen the worst of people. And by that I meant I waited tables for 10 years.
Yeah. So they said this, like they posted the message that they got, which seems legit. And also, they didn't make a big deal out of it other than to say, Jesus Christ, someone sent us this message. How messed up is that?
Yeah, that's fucked.
And in the past week, like they went from, and I counted this out too. It was like they had $4,400 before they posted this. Now they're up to like $50,000, wow. Which I'm glad for the little girl. And I genuinely hope this is all real and like it was a strange. I'm sure, even if it was a troll, more or less, who sent this message, I don't think the family had anything to do with it. But this, you could see where my little red flags are popping up here. But they got some news coverage where they're like, who sent this horrible message? And obviously a lot of people are just like, what a horrible thing for anyone to do. They wanted to give for the little girl.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, the girl seems to be doing better and she'll hopefully be out of the hospital soon.
That's good.
But if that's true, what a messed up story.
Fuck, man. That's rough.
Here's another story that is also rough, and it's weird, but this one is true because I've seen the video.
Oh, God.
Okay, get this. Church in Ohio. It's Impact City Church in Pataskala, Ohio. I don't know where that is. But here's what they do. They're right across the street from like a middle school and a high school. And so a lot of the kids at those schools kind of go to the church after school to hang out, stay there until their parents are home from work and pick them up or whatever, and the church facilitates this. It's not anything illegal. The church is there and kids go there. Okay, fine. Apparently, at one of these after-school sessions this week, one of the pastors at the church, his name is
Columbus,
Jadius Dempsey. He told the kids, here's what he wanted to do. Hey, it's Easter week coming up. I want to share with you all the importance of what Jesus did on the cross.
Okay.
And I'm not going to tell you that story. I want to allow you to go full on Passion of the Christ on me. So, hey, you 14-year-old, whatever, kid, punch me, hit me. I dare you, hit me. And he just stands there. And the kids, you could see on the video, because someone took video of this, like these kids are like, is an adult really saying I can like slap him or punch him? And finally, when they're like, oh yeah, he is doing that. They do. And the pastor just kind of sits there and takes it. You see a bunch of kids spitting on the guy's face.
Oh, my God.
And then, this is the oh, my God moment. He's like, here's a steak knife. Cut me. Yeah. So, like, he thinks this is a great lesson for the kids.
What's the lesson?
I don't know. Something torture porn Jesus related. This was later, the video of this went online. And like the mother of one of these kids is like, why does my child have a knife or whatever?
Fuck.
And a bunch of these parents are like, you're traumatizing all of these children because even whatever lesson you think you're teaching them about Jesus, saying go ahead and beat up somebody, I don't care if it's you and you're doing it voluntarily, but the fact that you're like, yes, hit me, hurt me, whatever, that is not a normal human thing that kids should be watching without permission from anybody else or whatever. That's messed up. And to like, I don't care if the kid they gave a knife to was like, do you really want me to do something? And they basically like scratched the guy's back, but like a little hard.
That's really fucked up.
What are you doing to that kid's brain? It's messed up. And so all these parents are pissed off. Hours after this started going viral, the head pastor of the church and this jackass went in front of a camera for a Facebook Live, like 5-minute thing and issued a pseudo apology where they're just like, look, we were just trying to do this thing for Jesus. Like, see, we weren't doing anything weird. They did not say, they said it was inappropriate, but also they were like, look, I'm quoting here. It was about this guy named Jesus who thousands of years ago, he was put on trial for a crime he didn't commit. And he was beaten, he was broken, he was whipped, he was crucified, and he died as an innocent man. Dempsey's illustration was meant to share that message of love.
Yikes.
Which they apparently think is synonymous with physical abuse. Like, they called it honorable, what this guy was doing. Like, holy crap, how little thought has to go into something like this where you think that's a good idea.
That's fucking wild. I'm looking
and how
at
many of these parents are going to keep bringing these kids to that church anymore? Like, Jesus.
Oh my God. This is the wildest thing I've heard in quite some time. So that guy has a white supremacist haircut.
Which is what exactly?
It's like a high and tight, but it goes like a little bit too far up.
I don't even know what you're talking
A high and tight. It's like when it's really, really short on the sides, and then it doesn't fucking matter.
All right.
God, you're impossible.
All right, you're welcome.
I have another
Yes.
bummer story while we're down here.
Yes.
I have to find it. My printer wasn't working,
That's
so
okay.
I'm working on a
Well-
laptop, and I fucking hate it. I found it.
Okay.
Don't interrupt me.
Fine.
So, Texas again. They passed House Bill 16, and it's called the Born Alive Act. First of all, pedantry. It's Born-Alive Act, and
The Born Alive Act.
I don't know why it's hyphenated. Like, I don't think the two people who created the bill are named like Jason Bourne and Susan
Yes.
Alive. Anyway.
Right.
So this bill would penalize doctors who don't give full medical treatment to babies born alive after abortion. What, you say? What the fuck does that mean? It's a good question, Hammett. Thank you. According to this article, there have been 0 cases reported by this state since they started tracking them in 2013. And even if it did occur, how? Federal law already requires infants born alive at any stage in development be given equal protection.
I'm reading something. It's designed to strengthen the protections to babies who survive abortions.
Which
is
isn't how anything works.
Yeah.
Representative Donna Howard, who's a Democrat from Austin, she spoke out against the bill. She was actually the only person to speak out against it. She said the aim of HB 16 is clear: further stigmatize abortion, misinform the public, intimidate physicians, and interfere with women's ability to seek medical care. She called it blatantly false, inflammatory, and dangerous. She said that she's insulted by the implication that she's a former trauma nurse. I'm insulted by the implication that I or any other nurse or doctor would not do any and everything in our power to provide care with any medically stressed human being. The misinformation perpetuated by this bill is dangerous and is the exact type of rhetoric that leads to threats of violence against providers.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fucking wild. Oh, there's Governor Greg Abbott.
Yes.
Cool dude.
Yes.
Daddy's mad at him, too. He backed the bill.
Of course.
He said it was a stand against the growing support for infanticide.
Yes, this is what we do.
I missed that meeting. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said, "We have watched in horror as lawmakers in other states have put forth monstrous proposals that attack life and expand abortion, even for children that have been born." And then in the article...
They seriously walk around thinking kids are born and then, like, people get out a butcher knife.
No, really.
That is their fantasy world that we all live in.
They think abortion is like the chestbuster scene from Alien. Do you get that? Is that a thing you
Vaguely.
get? I mean, it's...
Only because I've seen it in a play once.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I do weird plays.
Anyway, I just wanted to give your friendly abortion reminder that about 1% of abortions in the United States occur after 21 weeks, which is about the halfway point.
And even those
are often wanted pregnancies that are terminated because the patient's life is in danger or because of a life-threatening fetal abnormality. The bill was passed 93-1 with 50
that has Democratic support right there.
Sure does. It has 50. Representative, the one I was talking about earlier, whose name is
Democrat.
The Democrat.
So was she the one?
She actually encouraged everybody to vote present but not voting.
Oh, okay.
It was a protest. She said, "We refuse to waste the limited time we have here to take care of the people's business by entertaining malicious and purely political attacks against women and doctors. We refuse to ignore the expertise of medical professionals and allow them to be targeted and harassed. We refuse to use the power entrusted in us by our constituents and the voters of Texas for political theater." It was 50 voted present but not voting. There was one Republican, Howard Harold Dutton from Houston, also a Democrat. He voted no. 50 voted not present, and then it was all Republicans plus 12 Democrats who supported it.
Of course it was.
So...
God, when your Democrats are voting for something like that, it's a messed up state.
Yeah, this is not great.
So similar, not an abortion story, but it is pretty bad too. This is in Tennessee. This just happened today. Here's the gist of this resolution that they just passed today in the Tennessee House. Mm-hmm. They want to amend the state's constitution. Mm-hmm. Here's what it says right now in the relevant section. It says that government being instituted for the common benefit, the doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power and oppression is absurd, slavish, and destructive of the good and happiness of mankind. I don't know what that means. Whatever.
I zoned out.
This is what they want to add right after it. And that liberties do not come from government, but from Almighty God.
Cool. Really
Those two things have nothing to do with each other, but they just want to put in there that all of your, basically your civil rights and everything, that's not because of government, that's from Jesus. They want to add Almighty God to the Constitution of the state.
To what end? I don't get it.
Anything to make it so that belief in their God becomes, it's like putting under God in the pledge. To what end? Mm-hmm. Because once it becomes normal and we get used to it, it's easier for them to shove God in everywhere else, too. Yeah. It's just one of many things. But here's the thing. So today, the Tennessee House voted to pass that resolution, and they passed it, overwhelmingly. But here's what has to happen, because this is a weird little thing. The guy who proposed the resolution, this is State Representative Micah Van Huss. Mm-hmm. He tried this in 2015. It didn't work. He tried it in 2017, and it passed the House, and it passed the Senate. But the Senate didn't like the wording, so they changed it. Then they passed it.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about this before. We talked about this,
and then the House has to pass their version of it. Uh-huh. Time ran out, so it didn't work.
Right.
So now he's trying again, and this time he feels like he's fixed all those problems. So here's what happens. Today, the Tennessee House passed it. Now the Senate has to pass it within the same legislative session. Then it has to get a vote from 2/3 majority of the next legislature, which is going to happen because it's a Republican state. Uh-huh. Then voters have to approve of it in a gubernatorial election year, which is 2022 for Tennessee. But again, it's a red state. That probably would happen. Uh-huh. And only then can anybody file a lawsuit against how illegal this is. It's basically just another chance to push God into the Constitution.
Cool,
but they're basically laying the groundwork for it to happen because this is the priority for these people.
Wow. I have one more. Do you have anything else?
I got one more after that. Go for it.
So there was a study in 2017.
Yes.
That was looking into the health effects of mountaintop removal coal mining.
Okay.
Which is roundly not great for humans or the environment. It had been going on for a little while, and then in 2017, the Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke, he canceled it, and he said, we had some grant process studies, and we canceled it. It was just a coincidence. So there's a congressional hearing on this issue, and Representative Alan Lowenthal, who's a Democrat from California, wanted to look into why this study was canceled, because it sounds like most of the evidence says this is probably not great for health. So he was talking to an inspector general whose name is absurdly, Landon, quote, quote, Landon Tucker Davis. He said, Lowenthal was asking why it was canceled. Don't we need this evidence, blah, blah, blah. And he was offering an explanation for why this study was canceled. And he was shut down when Davis said science was a Democrat thing.
Facts are a Democratic thing, aren't they?
That's that, which is cool.
Sounds about right.
Saying the quiet part out loud again, guys.
Yes. I got one last story for you. This is from Italy, and it was just bananas, which is why I wanted to share it. And an Italian atheist organization basically put up an ad campaign starting last October. And here's the problem they were trying to draw attention to. People go to hospitals whenever they need to go to hospitals, but they don't always know if their doctor is like a Catholic doctor. And the problem is, if you're going there for, say, an abortion or something, it is possible you're already deep into the process, or maybe it's a medical procedure that it's not just spur of the moment or something. And then you realize, oh no, it's a Catholic doctor or a Catholic hospital who won't do the procedure, and now I'm screwed.
Right.
And their argument is, you should know what you're getting into when you go to the hospital before you get like further into whatever you're there for. So here's their ad campaign. I'm not going to try to say the words because I'll butcher it, but they basically show a picture of a doctor and a picture of a priest, just like the stethoscope and then a cross necklace. And they basically, in English, it says heads or tails. Like, this should not be a coin flip. Like, where I hope I get a doctor who does stuff instead of one who blocks me from doing the thing I need.
Oh, my God.
And the ad campaign just said, like, you should not have to choose. You got to make sure you know what you're stepping into. And, hey, if you live in certain cities where we're putting this billboard up, like, you guys specifically have a lot of these religious doctors who won't do things. You, of all people, should be asking the question, right? Make sure they don't have a religious objection to certain treatments or assisted dying, which is legal in Italy. Like, don't rely on chance. Okay. Totally good ad. It's not anti-religious to me. It's saying you need to make sure you're getting the thing that you need. So good, fine. In fact, they said in certain regions of the country, 97% of doctors exercise, quote, conscientious objections to performing abortion. So, like, the women need to know that.
Sure.
In another part of the city where Genoa is located, the opt-out is like 60%.
Okay.
So this is a big deal in certain parts of Italy. So guess what happened?
Tell me.
They tried putting this ad up in Genoa, and they were banned. Like, the city wouldn't let them put up the ad, saying it violated, like, the respect due to each religion. As if this is an anti-Catholic ad of some sort. It's not an anti-Catholic ad. It's not an anti-religious ad.
No.
It's just saying, hey, everybody, know what you're getting into. And by the way, the same city totally lets an anti-abortion group advertise stuff.
Of course.
That is not a problem. So the atheist group appealed the decision in court, and they won. So that's wonderful, except the city appealed that decision, and like the higher courts in Italy said, yeah, city is right. So it's banned again.
Jeez.
Like, the campaign is banned in the places where it's needed the most.
Of course.
So according to Humanist International, one of the groups that really focuses on this, who am I quoting here? This is, they said, we stand behind our members. The clear aim of the campaign is to help patients get the services they're entitled to and not leave it to chance. One of the members of that group said, there is nothing deeply offensive about the idea that, from a patient's perspective, a doctor who obliges the patient's rational and personal choice may well be preferable to one who blocks access to services on the basis of their own religious convictions. Like, yeah, it's a perfectly sensible ad.
Yeah.
It is insane that they blocked it for, like, blasphemy, essentially. But
my God.
That's a thing that is ongoing. So the group is considering, like, an even higher court to go to. Maybe they can get this overturned, but I don't know how their court system works. I don't know what the chances of that happening
my
are.
understanding of American politics is scant enough. I don't think we need.
Right. So anyway, that's all I got.
Cool. Any good news? Anything you want to share? How's your trip to
it was good.
North Carolina?
It was lovely. People were great. Nice crowd. And then the snow blizzard happened in Chicago. So I finally got back home. Yay.
That's good. I'm glad you're home. Are you moving soon?
Moving soon.
Are you excited?
I can't wait.
Oh, it's going to be great. I think it's actually going to be nice this weekend.
We'll see.
Yeah. Doing anything for Easter?
You know I am.
Oh, yeah?
Family stuff. Yeah.
I have a question. R.E. Easter. Did you ever, like, go to celebrations that involved a lamb made out of butter?
No.
Okay, it must just be a Polish thing, because I've never seen it either. And then when I started going to Easters with my husband's family, who they're Polish and Catholic, butter made of lamb, also a cake shaped like a lamb.
Huh.
I just never seen it.
No one in my family, obviously, or my wife's family are Christian in any meaningful way. Anyway, we are totally having an Easter celebration. I don't really know. We just get together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eat some, I don't know.
Apparently butter lamb. Who knows?
Listen, it's
not my thing, but all right.
Apparently a thing. Anyway, Hammett, where can we find you on the internet?
I'm at HammondMeta on Twitter, friendlyatheist.com. Please go to patreon.com/friendlyatheistpodcast.
You can find me on Twitter at Blueberry, BLUEBURIE. Email us at friendlyatheistpodcast@gmail.com if you want to, talk shit about me, which is everyone's favorite pastime.
So I send you emails every day.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next week.